I'm Rob Green. I'm the singer in the Fallen Leaves.
My mind is crumbling to a pile of rubble. My face is a mess, got a week of stubble. My mood is laid by and I'm bent up double. Oh girl, I think you got me in all kinds of trouble.
We've been going about 10 years, I think. The kind of centre, if you like, or the nebulous of the group is me and the guitar player Rob Simmons. We go back a long, long way. We've been very old friends and we've had various lineups, both of us having had about a 20-year layoff from playing at all. And we play when we get asked, and we like to do it. Well, I think partly we were inspired by one or two people, and Rob particularly was kind of badgering me. I'd lost all kind of faith really in kind of beat music anyway throughout the whole 1980s. I don't think there's hardly a single record that I would have wanted to buy in the 1980s, and the 1980s just kind of stretched on into the 1990s. Rob badgered me because we had written a lot of songs together. When Rob left the Subway Sect, me and him had written a lot of songs together and tried to get a group together, and there were some missed opportunities there about linking up with the rhythm section from Orange Juice, and you know, those are old stories. But in some ways we got re-inspired by Rob took me to see Billy Childish play, and he's become really quite a good friend of ours, and we played some of our first shows with him, and he, in many ways, he's an interesting figure.
I'm lying through my teeth, I can't express my grief, I haven't got the belief.
He subscribes, as we do, to the idea that the idea that somehow if you're a little bit older you can't play energetic pop music is a ludicrous notion. Nobody thinks that in jazz or classical music or the blues. It seems to be a unique idea in pop music, and I believe it's a myth and is there to be shattered.
Yeah.
I was struggling from the start. Can you feel it?
Yeah, I like the term pop music, partly because I don't like some of the other terms. So, you know, we almost have a kind of Trotskyist manifesto in the Fallen Leaves that you're not allowed to use certain words. So, for example, we would always describe ourselves as a group, whereas most people use another word. We tend to describe it as pop music when other people tend to say rock and roll or rock music, which are not really terms that I like very much. I think, you know, I mean, yes, it's steeped in the history, really, in many ways, of British beat music. And we were, in some ways, trying to capture or keep going the kind of legacy that was there from the Who and the Rolling Stones and the Pretty Things. And although we came out musically from the early punk scene, you know, I think there's a lot of misnomers about or misunderstandings about what the punk scene was. The punk scene, punk was never a style of music. Punk was an attitude, and there were many styles of music, but it was basically British beat music played with a lot of passion and energy, and that's what we're still trying to do.
Always more. She says, can we just be friends? But there's always more. Here we go till the bitter end. But there's always more.
Well, I think it was very British, certainly. You know, we describe what we do now as punk rock for gentlemen. That's our kind of byline. I think, and one of the things I often say is, you know, pop music sung with an English accent. How refreshing is that? There is a kind of British whimsy about it. you know, only us and the Americans are any good at pop music anyway. Well, the old Australian group, maybe, well, one I can think of, the Saints only. But other than that, it's pretty much, and a couple of French people, big fan of Jacques Dutronc.
700 millions de Chinois, et moi, et moi, et moi. Avec ma vie, mon petit chez moi, mon mal de tête, mon droit au toit.
People like that, but yeah, I think it is in many ways a British phenomena. And what happened with punk very quickly was that the groups that were successful turned into rock groups, which I wasn't really interested in. You know, they could have been bad company after a couple of years, really. The Clash must be one of the most overrated groups of all time.
Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now?
Yeah, it turned into rock music. Well, my initial passion really was for ska music. I've always wanted an interviewer to ask me what the first record is I ever bought, because it's a particularly good one. First record I ever bought was Al Capone by Prince Buster.
Al Capone, guns don't argue.
On the Blue Beat label in a very shabby record shop in Brick Lane in the East End of London, and I loved the early kind of skinhead music, which you know, the idea that skinheads all walked around with short hair and wearing braces and boots wasn't true either. It was really an extension of the mod scene, except with ska music, which of course in itself was extremely basic, simple music. And then I liked a little bit of the glam, but I wasn't into anything that was connected to hippies. I didn't like long-winded instrumental music. And then the real turning point for me musically actually was I saw Dr. Feelgood on a TV programme which I believe was filmed up here in Newcastle called Geordie Scene. And I'd never heard music played, you know, because I was too young for the early kind of beat generation. So I, as a, whatever I was, a 10 or 11-year-old or something, 12 maybe, I'd never heard white people playing music with such aggression.
Well, if there's something that I like, it's the way that woman walk. And if there's something that I better, it's the way she baby dog. She better back. She work hard every night just to make me feel alright. She told me not to worry, if anything is trouble inside.
And I was absolutely blown away by Dr. Feelgood. And in recent years, of course, their legacy has been revisited, and rightly so. I think they were absolutely instrumental in inspiring people to, if you're going to play beat music, play it with a bit of oomph. Absolutely, in the way Rob in the Fallen Leaves plays the guitar is often compared to Wilko Johnson, not as technically proficient, but he gets embarrassed by it. But it is a pretty fair comparison. Yeah. You know, Rob doesn't so much play the guitar, he attacks it. Playing in a group, do you mean?
Sorry, a group. A word. A group. Sorry.
What's the difference? Well, I think there's actually a lot of liberation that comes with being a bit older, because there's any idea that we're going to be successful is blown out of the window. In fact, we say that we are the glorious champions of the underachievers, and long may that continue. You know, when you're younger, you know, there is this idea that somehow you might turn into a pop star and make lots of money. And get chased around by pretty girls. You know, that's not going to happen now. And there's actually a great liberation that comes with that, because it means that we don't do anything that we don't want to do. We play the music we want to play in the way we want to play it. We wear the clothes we want to wear in the way we want to wear them. And if other people like that, which I hope they do, but that's a bonus. It's not, once you go down the route with any kind of artistic endeavour, if you go down the route of trying to work out what you think the audience wants, and then you give it to them, well, you're in X Factor territory, and you're lost. You're finished. You know, if Van Gogh had tried to paint paintings that he thought people were going to buy, you know, forget it. So that is certainly a liberation that comes later, that you're not bothered about, or I'm not bothered anyway, about commercial success. It would be nice, but it's not going to happen anyway, and it would be a byproduct, not the goal. And I think that's liberating. No, I don't think we'll ever stop. I think as we said before, if it kind of gets in your blood, and although, you know, when you're driving up the motorway stuck in traffic, you do wonder what you're doing it for. But the stage doctor takes over, and there's nothing like playing live. I don't actually like recording particularly. I like playing live, and that's what we do, and I can't see anything stopping us.
On every stepping stone I step, cracks are wide and yet still walking towards pleasure.